I just got off of the call with the client, and I'm going to kind of go over some things that I talked about on that call. He agreed to kind of give me a little bit of freedom to express kind of what happened on the call, what he learned. So I'm going to go into it. This is going to be a video on probably one of the most difficult pain agents to deal with, and that is the workplace stress. The reason why this is difficult is because you can't necessarily solve it, right? You're always going to have workplace stress. There's always going to be pressure. There's always going to be, like I said, that stress or a burden of responsibility. Like that's the workplace. That's not going to change anytime soon. And if you mix that with the addict who has a history of escaping pains, and if you mix that with the type of person that you have to become in a work environment where you have to get results regardless of the way you feel, you have like a recipe for disaster. Another thing to add on top of that, you get all that work done. Now you feel like you want a reward, right? So I've spoken to many guys who have left the workplace and gone and acted out. This wasn't the example, but like this is a very common thing that many guys struggle with. And on this video, I'm going to go over how to actually deal with this, because I think there's a lot of things that people try on their own or given any generalized advice. I think it fails people for a good reason, and I'm going to be showing you what to do instead. I'll show you kind of why I recommend it and give you a couple examples on how to use it. So let's dive in. So first things first, like I said earlier, you can't solve the pain. This is one common example that I see where guys try to change their behavior or change their routines or just make minor tweaks in their life to either make dealing with stress easier or try to pre-solve the stress. Now, this can get you better results, right? I've seen it. The thing is, it's good and all, and it might help, but in the grand scheme of things, there will become an hour where it might be a day, it might be a week, it might be a month of a grind where there's such an intense pain due to the workplace or due to life in general, anything, that leads you to wanting to escape so bad that you can't stop it. You can't try to change your lifestyle or try to take a walk or try to breathe your way out of it. Like, there's going to be a time where it's too intense. And that kind of leads me to my next point of trying to change your habit, right? So instead of going and acting out to alleviate that stress or get a reward, when you get an urge, you breathe or you take a break, right? Like trying to replace the behavior with something else. And again, same thing. Like, this can work, right? This can get you better results. But again, there's going to be a time where there's an urge so intense due to a pain in your life that it just does not cut it. So if it's not for those two things, and obviously not trying to use willpower and effort, and honestly, that's the one that most people rely on. And honestly, I don't blame them, because if you're the type of guy that's in that environment, whether you're CEO, board member, high-level professional, whatever your title is, you have to have a skill set of getting results regardless of how you feel. So it is like something people rely on. It's just like grind, get it done, forceful effort, like a way to kind of grind through seasons of staying clean. But again, that's not sustainable, though it is a bit of a superpower for some guys who are in that environment. So those are the three biggest mistakes that I'm seeing. And the thing that I want to go over today is a couple of mini lessons leading up to a big lesson of how to actually deal with this. So if the pain can't go away, what we have to do is not try to eliminate the trigger, right, which is the pain. We can't eliminate that. We don't want to tweak that. We want to change our automatic response around it. Now, I'll get to that in just a second, but to be able to build up to that goal, there's a couple pillars we have to go over. And one of these pillars is not trying to solve the pain, right? So you might be like looking at me like, whoa, like, how else am I going to stay clean? But hear me out. What happens when you're getting these triggers is your body experiences a lot of pain, obviously. But the thing is, when you avoid that, when you run from that pain or try to ignore it, it only gets more intense. And when it gets more intense, your body's like freaking out. Like there's flashing red lights going off. There's sirens going off like, hey, we're in a hell of a lot of pain. You're not dealing with this. I'm going to take matters to my own hands because you're not doing your job. And then you get that impulse to go and act out, right? So what you want to do is not try to solve the pain. You don't need to. The reason why you want to go and act out is because you've unaddressed the pain. You haven't been looking at it. You haven't been having a conversation that needed to be had, right? You're ignoring it. And to be fair, that's an often case, like every single guy that I ever worked with, that's your automatic response, right? Your automatic response is to run, is to avoid that. And it's been trained into your system since you were a kid, right? Since you started watching porn at a young age, or over the years of you going out and paying for sex, right? That is your default, right? And it's due to your basal ganglia, right? This is the part of your brain that's responsible for habit formation, more specifically habit loops. So if you get a particular trigger, automatically get a response if your body knows it's going to have a predictable outcome. It's a good system, but it can be misguided. So for example, you feel the pain of hunger. Your basal ganglia kicks in, it sends you an impulse to go and eat, right? It's a very good thing. It saves you a lot of calories in thinking, but it can be misguided. So again, right now, your automatic response is to go and act out when you feel the trigger of pain that's been baked into your basal ganglia. And the way that you rewire that and kind of re-guide it in the right direction is not trying to solve the pain, but trying to look at the pain. That's step one. And when you do this, just by looking at the pain, just by addressing it and having a conversation with yourself, which I'll show you how to do in a second, you start to change your basal ganglia. It goes from feeling workplace stress, pain, and running from it like your life depends on it or ignoring it, to facing it. And the more that you do that, the more that becomes your automatic response. And the beautiful thing is, just by looking at the pain, you don't have to solve the pain. If you want to, be my guest, right? That's not going to hurt you if you try to solve the pain one way or another, or plan to try to solve the stress in the future. Be my guest if you want to do that. But just know, just by looking at the pain, looking at the thing you're trying to escape, those red sirens don't go off anymore. Your body relaxes. It's like, okay, you got it under control. You see what's going on. I'll chill out. Not a big deal. Okay, you got it. Thank you. And there's a calming sense to that. You actually feel good when you actually look at the pain and just have that conversation with yourself. And just by doing that, honestly, you solve 50% of the problem, if not way more, just because you've looked at the pain and your desire to go and escape went down. And added benefit, in the future, you're more likely to address that pain before it gets super intense and you want to go and escape. That's kind of one pillar of it, right? Not trying to solve the pain, but just try to address it, take a look at it. And that's a big part of this, probably one of the most important things I'll say in this video. It might be different to a lot of things. You might not fully understand or kind of grasp that, but I'm telling you, that is so important if you can rewire your basal ganglia. Next, self-talk. You want to be able to use a little bit of self-talk. So when you find the true trigger, side note on that too, the true trigger, the true reason why you want to go and act out is not workplace stress. It's not any other pain agent like boredom or loneliness. Like, those aren't the true triggers. The true triggers are very specific. So for the workplace example, you're not stressed. It's because you've been putting off this one project that you need to get done. And there's deadlines, and that deadline is coming up. You don't have enough time to get it done the best you can. You got 50 emails you got to send. You got to talk to your boss. You know, he's going to be on your ass later. Like, you're dreading that whole thing. That's the pain, right? Like, it's very specific. And when you look at that and really see the pain for what it is, I'm telling you, you don't see the pain, right? You might think you do. You might feel the stress or know there's something going on, but it's really hard for a lot of guys initially to pinpoint the correct pain and really see why this is going on. So when you find the true trigger in that specific example or that specific pain that's going on, what you need to do is just use some self-talk around that. Talk about it. Understand it. See what's going on. If you need to, affirm whatever emotion you're feeling. Like, hey man, I'm stressed out right now. Totally fine. This is not a big deal. I got this. We'll deal with this. Let's just do this first, right? Just, you're processing it. You're dealing with it. You're coming to terms with the emotions to try to, instead of running from it, right? And that is, again, it's going to calm you down even more. Now, again, if you want to solve the pain, this would be your time to do it. You can be like, oh, okay, let's take a 5-minute break. I'm going to walk around for a second, calm down, relax, get myself together, and I'll get back into a deep session and get some stuff done. Or, hey, in the future, when I get home, I'll do X, Y, Z to reward myself or something like that. You know, if you want to solve it, that's your opportunity to do so, but that's not the most important thing. That's how you use the self-talk. And the last little pillar that you need to understand is you need to do this concept and apply it for the majority of your pain, right? Because we want to get yourself to the point where when you do have that initial trigger, of that pain or desire to escape, your basal ganglia kicks in and faces the problem and just addresses it instead of running from it automatically. And to get it to that point, which is our end goal, because when you get to that point, man, like you have full confidence in your ability. You're never going to be blindsided by anything. You never have to worry about the next urge because you have a proven track record of staying on top of the pains and desires to escape in dealing with it. You're never going to get caught slipping. You're never going to get a random huge urge out of nowhere and have to freak out and try to, repress it. You're always on the offensive. You're always staying on top of things. You never have to react anymore. It's a beautiful spot to be. And whether people know it or not, that is a requirement, like a necessary skill to achieve long-term freedom. Anybody can go 3 months clean. Anybody can go 6 months clean. To achieve real freedom, you need to have a skill set and you need to be able to have that basal ganglia work in your favor. So that's kind of a side note, but back to the main thing. To be able to get to that point, you want to use this concept on not just the big pains in your life or the big urges that you might get. You want to use this for smaller things, right? Smaller desires to escape. Let's say you have a bad relationship with technology. You're going on your phone and scrolling, right? You want to get to the point where you can apply everything that I've talked about for the impulse of going on your phone, right? So you'll do the same thing. You'll map out the impulse. You'll find the true trigger, like the real problem, the real pain that's going on, understand it, sit with it a little bit, have a conversation that you need to have with yourself. If you can find a solution, go for it, but just rewire that response. And if you can do that with small stuff like this, you're going to be good when the big things come. Again, you're going to feel confident because if you can do it for the small things, you have that intentionality. Anything that pops up into your life that's huge, you'll be on top of. So those are the 3 pillars that I kind of explained to my client today when he was kind of describing his workplace stress and how that was affecting his family and his relationships and all that. And we're going to see how that goes. This is something that I've worked with a lot of other guys in the past. And many guys had breakthroughs with this because it changed their thinking to go from fix the pain, solve it, or run from it to just understand it, deal with it, look at it. And just by doing that, you are actually solving the pain, especially the pain that leads you to want to get an escape. So I hope this was helpful for you. This is a very different video than what I might have done in the past. Maybe just let me know if you want to see some more stuff like this. I can give you some recaps of things that I help people with in my day-to-day coaching, and maybe that's something that'll be useful for you. Just kind of peel behind the curtain about what people are learning and what that looks like. Now, one last thing that I will say is that there are some challenges to this. While this is a very simple concept, it does have some, I don't want to say downsides, but it has some challenges. And the main one is it's hard to read the label inside the bottle, right? Especially where you're at right now, right? You're escaping things, and that's your automatic response to pain, right? You run from it, you escape it, you don't look at it. You kind of know something's going on, you know there's some pain, but you don't look at it, don't deal with it. That's your automatic response due to your basal ganglia. So it's a tall burden to kind of expect yourself to do all of this correctly and really build the skill set that you need to be able to ensure that you actually have long-term success with this. So one thing that I can say that will help you with this is get help on this. You know, anyone with a third-person perspective is going to be doing you a lot better than just doing it on your own. Like anyone with a third-person perspective can give you good feedback on what's going on, what you're trying to escape, how to deal with it, how to use self-talk in the moment to make sure this all goes smoothly. Like there's some real things that are going on that you have to learn, but once you do learn it, like by all means, you can use this on your own. So it is hard to see the label from inside the bottle, but this is where I'm going to come in handy for you. I'll be making more videos in the future, kind of going over what this process looks like. But if you just want to kind of fast track these results and you just want a little bit more certainty, or just have someone in your corner who's been in your shoes, who's been through this process and, broke free and helped other guys as well, then what I'd recommend if you're that kind of guy, go down below and go ahead and book a consultation with myself. On the following page, you'll learn more about this process. You'll see kind of step-by-step how to do it. You'll see the science behind it. You'll learn more about the basal ganglia. You'll also see some testimonies of guys who've used this and some of the results that they've gotten, as well as the ability to text me before that call with any questions, just to make sure that we're going to make the most out of that session. And when we do have that consultation, we'll take a look at your situation. We'll see what's going on. I'll see if I can help you or not, give some feedback, really identify like what it is that's actually holding you back from freedom. And if I feel 100% confident that I can help you and bridge that gap, then I might give you an invitation to Recovery Blueprint. And again, at the very least, man, you'll walk away with some resources and a bunch of clarity on your situation. But best case scenario, man, it's exactly what you're looking for. You sign up, you get our help, and you break free, because that one action, just booking that call, man, can completely change your life and help you break free. However, the best case scenario by not booking a call is that nothing changes. And if you're okay with that, then totally fine. You know, you're welcome to leave this training and go to another one. But if you really want to break free, you're serious about it because you see how much better your life is going to be. You know, maybe you're going to save a lot of money. Maybe you know you're going to be better connected to people around you, feel more confident, have better self-esteem, be closer to God. Like, if you just know that there's a better life out there and you feel like you deserve it, just go down below, book that consultation. Because honestly, man, that can be the one thing that changes your life forever. So with that said, guys, I'll see you boys in the next one. Stay strong, stay safe, and take care.